So I was scrolling through TikTok, and actually one of my other pastor friends sent me a video that I wanted to respond to. I've actually got a couple of stand-up comedian videos that are coming up where I'm looking at some of their bits about God and about scripture and about pastoring, and wanted just to respond to it because, one, I think it's fun. Two, it is funny to think about these things, but I do think there actually are some answers in scripture. And so without further ado, let's go ahead and get into it. This is Tyler Horvath. And he posted this on Easter, trying to promote his new tour. And this is what he had to say about pastors. Let's take a look here.
You know who I don't envy is modern pastors. I do not envy that task. Trying to help people with modern problems with this ancient book. You know, someone is like, Father, help. My husband is leaving me for an AI TikTok dancer. And you're like, oh. That's like what happened to Abraham. You know who
It's there's a semblance of truth in that it seems like it's a daunting task to look at where we're at in the world today with the advances that we have in social media, the AI boom, all of the technology that we have at our fingertips, and then to look at this ancient text for the answers to our questions. And while he's being facetious, I appreciate that you recognize that it's hard to be a pastor in today's culture, in today's day. Obviously, he's making a joke about this. But the point that he's trying to make here is that we have this ancient book that isn't as relevant as it used to be. That because we've advanced and because we've grown in our society, that the scriptures are no longer relevant. And I think that's really an interesting idea. As I thought about it, I laughed, of course, at the surface level is funny to think about the world that we live in, to be using an ancient book like we use, or a collection of books rather. Like, to look at all of that is very true. But it's not exactly the whole picture. And I want to go ahead and take you to 2 Timothy chapter 3, verse 16 and 17. A lot of you, if you've been in church, you probably have heard this. It probably was a memory verse. If you haven't been in church, though, this is, I think, the answer to, our pastors struggling in this time right now. And it says this, and I'm reading out of the NIV: all scripture is God-breathed and is useful for teaching, rebuking, correcting, and training in righteousness, so that the servant of God may thoroughly be equipped for every good work. You see, what Paul is encouraging here to Timothy, as he's writing to Timothy, he's trying to give him these last bits of wisdom before he's going to be martyred, before he's going to be killed. And he's trying to encourage him to continue on the work that he started, continuing the work that Jesus started, right? And he, earlier in the passage, he's talking about how his life could be a testimony and be an inspiration for Timothy. The way that Paul had lived his life was an inspiration. I think that's really easy for us to grab onto, for us to really hold on to and say, yeah, I can look at somebody else and they be a source of inspiration for me and they be a motivator for me and all of these things. And I think that's really, really awesome. But that's actually, as a Christian, not the fullness of what we mean when we're talking about where we find our answers and how we live our life. And the second half is in 16 and 17. You see, all scripture being useful, being God-breathed, is an affirmation that even though it's not a one-to-one direct answer, right? We're not going to have answers to AI in scriptures. We're not going to have answers to even like our modern concept of marriage, if we really want to talk about that and keep with the content from that video. We're really not going to have the one-to-one, let's find the chapter in the verse to try to get this answer for this thing. But it really does affect the way that we stay in alignment with the heart of God and with God's will for our lives. It's really the way that we understand his heart, we understand his commands, the way that we respond to the promises that are in scripture. The scripture is not going to talk about everything, but it talks about everything in a broad sense, in that you can look at an affair, or you could look at technology, or you could look at any modern kind of problem that we have. And there is something in the scriptures that will speak to that, because God is never changing. He's been the same yesterday, today, and forever. And that is a hope that as a Christian, I hold on wholeheartedly to. And so, yes, while I'm not going to be able to point to a reference to be able to say, this is what you should do when, your husband leaves you for a TikTok AI dancer or whatever. Of course, there's not going to be an answer for that, but there's enough in the scriptures to be able to talk about relationships, to be able to talk about the way that we honor our spouses, the way that we honor and love the people that we're with, the way that we there's so much that you could do. And I'm not going to go into like preaching a message on this, but I do think that it's very easy to just look at a surface level and say, of course, yeah, pastors are so out of their heads on this stuff. And we're really not. We have the answers, and it's found in the Bible. And so let me know what you think about this. Let me know if you are a Christian, if you're not a Christian, what you think about the Bible and its importance in your life, or the fact that you think it's just another book. And let me know in the comments. Can't wait to hear from you, and have a great rest of your day. God bless.